let's cut to the chase. 4 big, huge sprint retrospective mistakes that you might be doing right now and how to fix them. Mistake number 1, not doing retrospectives at all. People underestimate the power of reflecting on the past sprint, and crafting together as a team a plan to improve in the next sprint. I often see teams under pressure from management, short deadline, from the product owners, even the Scrum Master, pressuring the team. And the team just decides, or the Scrum Master just decides, okay, let's not do a sprint retrospective this sprint. Let's not waste time 1 hour on that sprint retrospective. Let's do it after the deadline. Let's miss 1 month of sprint retrospective. That's not a good mindset. That's not a good approach. Sprint retrospectives ensure positive outcomes by eliminating dysfunctional cycles. You might not see the results in the short term after 1 sprint, 2 sprints, but in the long term for the whole Agile project, the team will be way better off. So if the team is under constant pressure, missing deadlines, it might be because you're not running as a Scrum Master, or your Scrum Master, if you're a team member, is not running effective sprint retrospectives. So please, if you're watching this, insist that you run sprint retrospectives. Set a date, set a time, set a slot, a place, and don't miss it. Never miss any sprint retrospectives in the future. Mistake number 2, not ensuring that all voices in the team get heard. Most of you watching are Scrum Masters or wannabe Scrum Masters in the future. So please, listen to me. I'm talking to you. This session is not your session. The sprint retrospective is not the session of a Scrum Master. It's the session of a team. Stop hijacking this session. If you're talking way more than the team in this session, there's something wrong with the session. You're not running it. Effective sprint retrospective. No one cares what you think. You are the facilitator of a session. You shouldn't be giving inputs in the session, telling people how to do technical stuff, telling people how to optimize processes. No one cares about that. No, the team should be listing things that went well in the past sprint, that didn't go so well in the past sprint, and discussing as a team, what can we do for all these things that didn't go so well? How can we improve for the next sprint? Agreeing on a list of action items, taking ownership of these action items. And your role as a Scrum Master is not to tell them what to do. Nope, it's to facilitate the session. And the meaning of facilitating the session is making the session easier for them. That's it. Second, you need to ensure that all voices get heard. Everyone in the team should have their say when crafting this plan to improve in the future. The role of a facilitator is to make things easier for everyone. Loud, dominant personalities have their say. Obviously, we want to hear what they have to say, but not at the expense of more introvert people. If you feel that some people in the team are not participating enough in the sprint retrospective, maybe direct a question to them. Ask them a question, and if they go further down in their shell and they won't answer the question, after the sprint retrospective, do a quick call with them, one-to-one call, and ask them, how can we make the next sprint retrospective more comfortable for you? What should we do together so that you participate more in the next sprint retrospective? Make the person feel that his voice or her voice is needed. We need her to participate in the next session. It's really important that you don't make this conversation feel like the person is in trouble. No, make the person understand that you want them to talk in the session. You want them to participate in the session for the benefit of a whole team. Mistake number 3, not enough time for the sprint retrospective. Once I assisted a session a few years back. I was an observer in the session. There was a Scrum Master facilitating the session. Kid you not, 10 minutes. A team of 10 people. 10 minutes, even shorter, maybe 9 minutes. The session lasted 9 minutes. If this thing happens in your team also, let the Scrum Master know. Or if you're a Scrum Master and this thing happens in your team, maybe you should realize the value Read again the Scrum Guide, all the benefits of a sprint retrospective, and tell your team all the benefits, what value they will gain from a sprint retrospective. Then you do an effective retrospective next time using the tips in this video, and you show them all the benefits. It's way better to always show them all the value beyond the sprint retrospective instead of telling them. And when you tell them and you do an effective session, and then they will see the benefits in the next sprints, I guarantee you that they will be on board to participate in future sprint retrospectives. The general guideline for a team of 10 people, a Scrum team of 10 people, 60 to 90 minutes for sprint retrospective. But it doesn't need to last 90 minutes as long as you talked about all the good things, all the bad things, and some improvement items the team has crafted together. How can we improve for the next few sprints? You can just end the session. The session is over. You already did what you had to do. Mistake number 4. No action items. This one is big. This one is huge. As I just mentioned, you need to tell people the value beyond the sprint retrospective, but it's way better to show them, make them really experience their life changing in the next few sprints once the action items are implemented. I once was a developer a very long time ago, assisted a sprint retrospective, well, many sprint retrospectives in the team, but they were always sort of identical. Same thing. We were always talking about the same thing. I was always complaining about this server not being available. I'm wasting so much time waiting for this server to be available so that I can work. 3 months later, still complaining about the server. Nothing was done. And then we realized, well, I realized in the session, I don't think there was a Scrum Master in the session, but I realized that no one was dropping down the action items. No one was doing anything. Even when we were talking about that, even for each session, I was complaining. People were telling me, okay, we're going to do something about that. Nope, no one was doing anything about that. No action items, no tracking, no ownership, nothing, no follow-up. So every session talking about the same thing. And this is bad. This is bad because I didn't see any value in doing a sprint retrospective just to complain and nothing is done. The role of a facilitator of a session, usually the Scrum Master, is to ensure that all the items being discussed should have a corresponding action item. If you complain on something, if you say that something is not working, someone or the team should come up with a solution, and someone should be owning this solution. As simple as that. The person owning the solution doesn't need to work on that, just needs to ensure that he will do it, or she will do it, or someone else will do it. Sort of an owner and ensuring that this thing is done. So basically, the facilitator asks the team questions. Are we ready right now to have an action item for this point? If they're talking about the server not being available, and we talked about that, for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, ask them, do we have an action item here? Can we write something so that we can do to fix this issue in the next sprint? If they say yes, you write it down. Then you ask them, who can be the owner of this? You explain to them, the owner doesn't need to solve this issue, just needs to ensure that this issue is solved like someone else can do it. That's not our problem. We can do that. We can talk about that in the next session. In another session, not during the sprint retrospective. You shouldn't be solving issues in the sprint retrospective. Just list down a list of actions and then you solve them later. Once you get an owner, tell the owner, by when can we get this done? By next Friday? Okay, that's cool. Don't force them, just ask and let them give you a date. Then you write down the thing. That's it. And try to write it in a smart way, using the SMART acronym. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time box. A few weeks back, I facilitated a sprint retrospective, and the team, remember the team wanted to separate the in progress column and the code review column. Before that, they had a single in progress column. Everyone doing their development was putting stuff in the in progress column, and code review was putting stuff in the in progress column. Hard to separate development and what's being reviewed. They wanted a separate code review column. Good improvement. I ask the question, who can be the owner of this item. Who can first create this column? David said, I'm going to create that. I can be the owner. By when, David? By next Friday. That's good. I wrote it down. As a Scrum Master, you take all the action items. You make sure that you wrote these things down into a central document. We're using Google Docs, I believe. Into a central document that everyone has access to, everyone can edit, and ensure that there's a column called status or comment where everyone can put their status updates and comments, and ensure that at the beginning, most important, ensure that at the beginning of the next sprint retrospective session, you start with that. You ask questions, you go through the list of action items. Where are we at? Can we close this item? Then you start the sprint retrospective. Always more important to make sure that action items are done prior to adding new stuff to it. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.